I, female 22, live in a shared house with a landlord and his two sons, a woman 28, and her little daughter. Yesterday, the landlord and his kids were away visiting some family, and the other woman works a crazy schedule. I was sleeping in my room when I woke up by the kids screaming like crazy, about 2 a.m. I figured the mother was not home, so I put on my headphones, but in a few minutes she was banging on my door, still screaming and crying. I panicked, thinking something horrible was going on outside, so I shut myself in the bathroom of my room and called the police. They could hear the screaming on the call, so they came very quickly. Turns out the kid had a nightmare and was really scared, and the paramedics had to put some medicine on her to calm her down. Then the police asked me a lot of questions, if I was the guardian, to explain our living situation, if I knew where the mother was, etc. I told them that I was not aware that the kid was alone because the mother has a crazy schedule and I don't know where she works. I provided her phone number, but they couldn't reach her, so they took the kid to the police station. I went back to sleep and was woke up by the mother banging on my door and screaming at me for what happened yesterday. She said the police won't give her daughter back, and I'm an idiot for calling them for something as silly as a nightmare, that I should have just calmed the kid down instead of making it a huge deal. I told her that it's not my responsibility to take care of her daughter. I barely interact with any of them. I was not going to open my door to someone screaming like crazy because it could be dangerous. I think it was right to call the police, but I told the situation to my mother. Either way, she says I should have checked on the kid and tried to help because sharing a house also means helping out with this kind of thing. So, am I the idiot here? I find it odd that your immediate response to hearing a crying, screaming child is to lock yourself up and call the police without even attempting to check on the child. This is coming from someone who is child-free, not a mother. Yeah, it's not your kid and not your responsibility, and the mother obviously shouldn't have left the kid home alone, but damn, that's some really selfish behavior. I want to say you're the idiot, but I have to lean more towards everyone's the idiot here. Mother was wrong for leaving her kid solo, but you're definitely wrong for not even checking on the kid and just taking care of yourself. Yes, what would happen if there was an intruder or a fire? The kid deals with it on their own until the cops show up? It wasn't remotely acceptable for the parents to leave the kid with only OP there. Still, this response is horrifyingly selfish, and Board is on the paranoid. There was plenty of time to involve the police or CPS after OP checked on the kid. It shouldn't be her responsibility, but sometimes you gotta be a decent human first. We all seem to glaze past the part where OP initially put on headphones to drown the kid out. Clearly, OP was not in fear, so I call crap on the reasoning for calling the police. Just wow. The mother does suck for leaving her little daughter at home alone. Still, you are the idiot, OP, for being capable of hearing a young child screaming like crazy, and your response is to put on headphones? You obviously weren't frightened at that stage. You just couldn't have cared less. You know what? I get it. Obviously, with the gift of hindsight and the safety of reading about the situation instead of living it, it's easy to ask why you didn't potentially put yourself in danger to save a child. But realistically, I'm a 30-year-old man, and if I was woken up by screaming and banging on my door in the middle of the night, I would not have the presence of mind to realize it's my neighbor's kid, consider she might be in danger, open the door and pull her inside away from danger. I'm sorry, but this is the most cowardly thing I've ever heard, and it sounds like OP is outright proud of it. Gross. Give thanks it wasn't a fire, or your running and hiding would have ended with your butt roasted. You are the idiot, OP. This will not be a popular take, but I'll say it anyway. All adults, by definition, owe a basic duty of care and help to all children, period. Genetics don't enter into it at all. My male 28, brother Steve, 23, moved in with me after being kicked out of his college dorm for repeated violations. He's been staying with me, my wife, and our 6-month-old son for a couple of months. My wife's birthday was days ago. I wanted to plan something special for her because this year has been very stressful for her. From studying to becoming a new mom, she barely found time for herself. I helped with all I could, but because this is her birthday, I decided not to burden her with doing any work. On her birthday, I made a reservation for a spa session she needed for so long, and I started getting everything done. The cake arrived from the bakery at 11 a.m., and I asked Steve and his buddy Jason to help with decorations. I gave a few tasks to get done while I went to take care of my son and get him to sleep. About a half an hour later, I came downstairs and walked into the kitchen and saw that both Steve and Jason had cut large pieces of my wife's birthday cake in separate plates. I asked what the heck was going on, and Steve told me to chill. I got mad seeing the cake split in half, and 2 large pieces of it were gone. I flipped out and told him this wasn't for him to take. He said he and his buddy got hungry from helping me out and really wanted to try some of the cake because it looked delicious. I yelled at him about how awful and disrespectful what he did was, and he said I was overreacting since he left enough for me, my wife, and the guest. But it's not about that. He ruined the cake that I spent a week ordering from the bakery. I told him my wife wouldn't even like how it looked and won't even get the chance to blow the candles. He said, "I'm sorry, all right, but you're just being a little too dramatic about a piece of cake." Then Jason said, "Yeah, man. Besides, who cares about some stupid candle blow? Totally unhygienic. Is your wife like 5? I lost it. I kicked Jason out and told Steve to pack and leave my house. He said he couldn't believe I'd seriously tell him to get out over something so small. I told him that this was my wife's birthday cake, and he said he could talk to her and explain, but I had none of it, so I made him pack and leave. My father called and got all angry, telling me I was out of my mind to kick my brother out with nowhere to go over a birthday cake. I live in the city where Steve's college is, but my family live away. He and my mom told me to go pick Steve up where he's staying, but I said no. My actions were called disgraceful and immature for reacting this way over a cake. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I'm sorry, but in what world do you dig into someone's birthday cake before their actual birthday celebration? If Steve doesn't have somewhere to live, it's his own fault for making what sounds like a long series of bad decisions. Based on mom and dad's response, it seems pretty obvious why the brother is the way he is. He is rotten from the core, with zero empathy, and too dumb to realize the world does not rotate around him. Not the idiot OP, though I wouldn't have allowed him to move in the first place after getting kicked out of university housing. Exposing my 6-month-old to that level of instability would have been a no-go. Yeah, if he's already been kicked out of the dorms, it's pretty clear Steve has issues following the rules and treating other people with respect. Obviously, getting kicked out of the dorms didn't teach him that lesson. Maybe this will. He's going to need to learn it sometime. Not the idiot. Your younger brother is way disrespectful of basic normal boundaries. He's taking advantage of you and then gaslighting you when you react in a normal manner to such ridiculous entitlement. He needs to grow up, and that is not your responsibility. If your parents care so much, they can pay for him to come to where they live and let him move back in with them. Your wife will probably appreciate how much you stood your ground over showing her respect, which is what this is actually about. Both my fiance and I are 26 from the UK. Unfortunately, my fiance is a bit overweight, 200 pounds, 5'11". He used to be much more overweight, but he got down to this weight and can't seem to get any lower, despite trying new diets every other week. This upsets him quite a lot. He hates his body, and he still sees himself as very overweight. I find him attractive, but my preference is for thin and fit bodies. I can't really help that. I never told him my preference because I didn't want to hurt him. He was fit when we got together at age 21, and then started gaining a ton of weight due to a drinking and binge eating problem at 22. Thankfully, he is doing much better now. Yesterday, we were looking at old pictures of each other. When my boyfriend was a teen, he was extremely fit and played sports. He was muscular, and I have to admit he was very good looking. He gets very depressed thinking about school. He misses it and feels like his life peaked then. He told me to be honest and asked me if I thought he looked better then. I said yes, in some ways, but you're not a teenager anymore. He then asked me if I preferred his old body and if I thought he should get back to that. I decided to just be honest, and I told him that he looked healthier and more confident then, and he would look great if he got back to his old weight, like 150 pounds. I told him that sometimes his weight and laziness with diets bothers me, especially because I'm active and healthy. He got a bit upset with me. He feels like I lied to him about being attracted to his current body. To be honest, I did a bit, but I didn't want him to feel bad about himself. He also said it's not realistic for him to be that skinny at 26, and he thinks my expectations are too much. Now he is sulking, stopped eating, and won't take his shirt off around me. Maybe I could have been gentler, but I've been gentle for months, and it hasn't helped his weight loss or body image. You are the idiot. The average weight for a 5'11" male is between 160 and 200 pounds, and no one can magically obtain their high school body again. That takes a very special set of genetics or unhealthy methods of losing weight. On top of that, the numbers on a weight scale aren't the end-all label of health. Muscle weighs more than fat. So if he bulked up on muscles and weighed closer to 200, would you still call him unhealthy or unfit? Probably, I'd bet. You are the idiot. You were cruel. It's very irresponsible to tell your partner to lose 1/4 of their body weight when you know they already struggle with depression and disordered eating. If you can't be supportive of your partner as a person, not just a body that looks a certain way, end this relationship and let him find someone who is more supportive and less shallow. You're with an adult whose adult body is not the same as their teenage body, and that's normal. You are the idiot. If you were struggling with disordered eating and self-image issues, and your husband started to criticize you for not being your high school weight, how would you feel? I know he asked, and your answer was technically honest, but the way you worded it was so cruel. You can be honest without being hurtful. I got married a few weeks ago. Father-in-law, mother-in-law's ex, paid for everything. So just to be clear, she did not pay for this makeup artist. Mother-in-law was a pain in the butt throughout the entire wedding planning. First trying to make things about her, complaining about minor inconveniences. Then she defended her sister and stepmom when they got caught talking crap about me. So needless to say, I was not happy with mother-in-law when the wedding day rolled around. In our circle, it is the norm for families to coordinate color-wise. Mother-in-law refused to talk about dresses because she was set on one dress that made me very uncomfortable. Not white, but I thought it would photograph white, clash with my scheme, had cutouts. Mother-in-law goes to many formal events and could have worn this damn dress somewhere else, but she would not be reasoned with. Finally, my husband laid down the law and said she could wear something I was okay with or she could stay home. On the wedding day, I got ready at mother-in-law's mom's house, and mother-in-law was there. Mother-in-law was very sulky, but had the right dress. Her boyfriend went into the kitchen and made a Bloody Mary in a huge cup, came out, fake tripped, and spilled it on her. Mother-in-law freaked out because he got it on her face and hair. The two of them totally forgot I was there, and she was like, "You were only supposed to get it on the dress." And he said she wasn't clear about that, so they blew their whole cover. Mother-in-law was actually laughing. The hair and makeup person was getting ready to leave, and mother-in-law asked her to stay and redo hers after showering. I told the woman that mother-in-law didn't pay, and I did not want her to stay. Mother-in-law offered to pay her, but I asked her as the bride-to-be to please leave, and she did. Mother-in-law had to shower because tomato juice had a strong smell, and I said I would not hold up the wedding for her. Mother-in-law got mad and said I was being vindictive because it is her son's wedding. I didn't wait for her, and she missed the ceremony. Mother-in-law's parents both told me I took it too far and then embarrassed her. I told her that I don't want her complaining if she doesn't look how she looks in pictures due to being the only one without professional hair and makeup. Mother-in-law said she didn't care, but mother-in-law's mom is upset because she hates when either of her daughters has their naturally wavy hair and said I ruined the wedding day by being petty. Am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. Geez, there are some layers to this horrific onion. Mother-in-law is horrible, and you did the right thing. However, she shouldn't have messed around and been found out. Grandma-in-law is horrific because she dislikes the natural wavy hair. No wonder she raised a real idiot. That is a lot of passing on trauma there. Not the idiot. She literally made her boyfriend fake ruin a dress so she could wear the dress she was specifically told not to wear. You didn't embarrass her. She is an embarrassment. LOL, this is hilarious. Mother-in-law actually thought that everyone would be on her side, but it seems no one is, so she only has herself to blame. Congratulations on the wedding. Mother-in-law made her choices, and the results of those choices led her to missing the ceremony. You did the right thing. Your wedding day, your choice, and you are not the idiot. I, 40 male, had a son last year, and I spent the whole time not knowing I was pregnant. My husband and I tried to have a baby for 6 years to no avail. I was diagnosed with endometriosis and PCOS, which we were told would make it incredibly difficult. We tried fertility medication and it didn't help. After 6 years, we were just too broken by it all. We took a breath and then decided we just needed to focus on being child-free and happy. It was tough, and for years I was so unhappy, but I longed to have a baby of my own and knew it wouldn't be fair to adopt when I was so hung up on that connection. It was June of last year when my son was born. A week before, I started getting terrible back pains followed by cramping and vomiting. My husband brought me to the hospital on our doctor's advice, and that's when we were told I was giving birth. My stomach was flat, and I'd had no cravings, felt no movement. I ended up needing a C-section. We were shocked, but we got lucky, considering my son was healthy, and I recovered well within the first week. Everyone was stunned. Family, friends, us most of all. Anyway, now on to the point. Everyone was just so happy and seemed to celebrate the fact that we had our own surprise baby. But a couple of weeks ago, at my husband's parents' house, my husband's sister straight up said she believed I knew and didn't tell her, and how angry she was for keeping it to myself. My husband told her she was being ridiculous. She told me I owed it to her to tell her she was becoming an aunt. So I asked her why she was blaming me instead of my husband. She said I didn't tell him either. I told her I would have told my husband had I known, and if she honestly believes I knew all along, then he would have known too. She should direct her anger and accountability at him, because I didn't owe it to her to tell her. He would be the one to owe her that, in a sense. She's claiming that I made it sound like she's nothing, but she's only my in-law. She's his sister, so it should be more on him than me if we're playing this weird blame game she wants to play. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. What kind of a grade A narcissist is your sister-in-law? Even if you did know, your health is none of her business. If you had known and wanted to keep it secret, you would still not be the idiot. You had a cryptic pregnancy. There's a whole TLC show around it. It's not entirely uncommon, and it's no one's fault. I still fail to see how she made this about her. Does she always crave attention like this? Man, I'm sorry, OP. I feel angry just reading this. I'm so happy for you and your husband, though. Please enjoy your sweet baby. Not the idiot, but your argument makes no sense. She was accusing you of knowing and not telling anyone, not even your husband. If that was the case, he wouldn't have done anything wrong. So what are you even saying? Regardless, she's being ridiculous. And the point is that she assumed you were keeping it to yourself on purpose because she wants to blame someone for, I don't know, being surprised? Not the idiot. You had a surprise baby. While not uncommon, it does happen. Next time she brings it up, blame her for not telling you that you were pregnant. She'll be all like, what? That doesn't even make any sense. Exactly. We didn't know as much as you didn't know. You owe it to her to tell her she's becoming an aunt. It would be nice to know you were becoming a mom too. LOL. Congratulations on your new baby.